All right, let me begin. So today we are going to cover macro programming in SAS, right? So what are macros? So overview of macro. Macros are particularly useful if you want to make your SAS program more flexible and allow them to be used in different situations without having to rewrite entire program again and again. Macro variables also provide a useful method for passing information from one data step to another. So we are talking about macro language. So we are also talking about macro variables, right? So macro variables help us to pass information from one data step to another data step. You can even select which procedure within a large program to run depending on the day of the week or values in your data. So you can, design your macro program in such a manner that it became intelligent enough to run your procedure depending on a particular value, whether it is a particular weekday, whether it is a outcome of some data step for a particular value, right? Or in a particular situation. Macro process. So when you submit a standard size program, right? So how this everything works. So when you submit a standard SAS program, SAS compiles and then immediately execute it. Right? You remember that I told you about the compilation phase and the execution phase in the beginning. Right? But when you write a macro program, there is an additional step. So before SAS can compile and execute your program, SAS must pass your macro statement to macro processor. Now what does this processor does? It resolves your macros, right? And generating standard SAS code. So it resolves your macro, right? And again convert that into standard SAS code. So because you are writing a program that writes a program, this is sometimes called a meta programming. So macro program we also know are also known as meta program, which mean program about a program. So in SAS we have two things, right? One is macro program and another thing is macro variable, right? So when we say macro program, so or generally call them macro, right? So name of macro are prefixed with a percent symbol, right? We so if I have to write a macro program, we always fix it with a percentage symbol, right? When we have to call it. And macro variable, so name of macro variable are prefixed with the ampersand symbol. So how do you know which is a macro program, which is a macro variable? So program would we can call program with percent symbol and we can call a macro variable with ampersand symbol. Now, what is a macro variable? So a macro variable is like a standard data variable except that having only a single value. Means it will always they can contain only one value. It does not belong to a data set, which means it is not stored in any database, right? And its value is always character. And the value which is stored in macro variable is always a character value, and this value could be a variable name, a number, any text that you want to substitute in your program. So why we use macro variable? We want to use a macro variable in a program so that it can pick up the value from some other program, right, and replace the value in your current program Now, a macro, on the other hand, is a large piece of a program that may contain complex logic, including complete data and proc steps and macro statement, such as percent %do, percent %n, and if, percent %then, percent %else. So you must know this term local versus global. So a macro variable can have two kinds of scope. One is local. A macro variable is local if it defined inside a macro, and global if it is outside of the program. You can use a global macro variable anywhere in the program, but you can use a local macro variable only inside its own macro. So if you keep this thing in mind, you will avoid potentially two common error. One is using a local macro outside its macro and accidentally creating local and global macro variable with the same name. So these are two things which you can avoid by knowing this fact. So how do you know that your processor is working or not? Before you can use macro, you must have the macro system option turned on, which is by default turned on in the SAS Studio, right? This option is usually turned on default, but may be turned on especially on mainframes because SAS runs slightly faster when it does not have to bother with checking for macro. If you are not sure whether the macro option is on, you can find out by submitting these statement. So let me go to the SAS on demand. We'll log in. So, okay, who is missing today? Annam Harshita Nishta Purusha Tarna Varsha Purusha. So to check this, what do you need to do? Proc option is equal to macro, and you will get that information in your notes. So when your outcome is this macro, which means it is turned on. Otherwise, over here you will find an option as no macro. So now we know that our options are uh, our macros are turned on, right? Now avoiding macro errors, you can avoid the macro migraine which by developing your program in a piecewise fashion, right? And it is my advice. to you all that whenever you're writing any program, you know do step by step programming, irrespective of what programming language you are working on. Solve your problem in step by step manner, right? Now, similar approach we need to apply over here as well. So first we write our program in standard size code. Then when it is bug free, we convert it to macro logic, adding one feature at a time. This modular approach to programming is always a good idea, but it becomes very critical when it comes to macro. Right. So let's talk about automatic macro variables. There are several built-in macro variables available, right? As soon as we start the session, and these useful one are ampersand. So as I told you in the beginning that we can identify a macro variable by ampersand symbol, or we call them by an ampersand symbol. So ampersand sys date 9, comma ampersand sys day, ampersand sys time, right? These all are store system date, right? And date 9 will give you the system date, it will give you day, it will give you time, right? So the time the session started, as an example, you could use this automatic macro variable to include a date and time in a title statement. So let me write a program. Title, today's date is ampersand sys date 9, and the day is ampersand sys day, and time is ampersand sys time. And time zone is ampersand sys time. Alright. Now if I will write my propane data is important. Oops. Says help dot class and run. So today's date is 2nd Feb and the day is Tuesday and time is 3:40 and the time zone is GMT plus 5:30. And let me see. You can also print these macro variables, right, by writing them in with the put statement. Let's see what is this new variable. I've just seen it, so let me try it. Time zone identity is also GMT plus 30. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out what is the difference between these two. Same thing. Right. Since your machine is working on server which is in, you can also see this thing in your over here. So whatever this says student local is equal to en underscore us and zone is equal to this. Something 530, and this is again some token by which I am accessing their machine. Alright. Now, any question till now on SAS macro variable? Did you try this example? So this is a good time to tell you that if you place a macro variable inside quotation mark, SAS resolve only macro variables that are inside double quotation marks. If you use single quotation mark, the title would read like this because we have used, if we use single quotation mark, it will not resolve it. Alright, so let's understand how we can define a macro variable. So these macro variable which I have just used, these are the system macro variables, right? Now most of the time I will be creating my own macro variable to make my program an automated program, right? So how can I achieve that goal? I can achieve it with three different options. So one is percent let, the second method is called simput, and third is into. Now the simplest way to assign a value to macro value is with the percent let statement. The general form of this statement is percent let macro variable name is equal to value. So where macro variable name must follow the rule for SAS variable name, which means it can have 32 character or it can have a length of up to 32 character, can start with underscore or a letter, and can contain, and the following character could be letter, numbers or underscore. right? So you usually place person-led statement in open code that is not inside a data pocket step, which means we create this variable as a global variable. A good thing to know in the beginning, unlike an ordinary assignment statement, values does not require quotation marks even when it contains character like this, except for blanks at the beginning and end, which are trimmed. Everything between the equal sign and the semicolon becomes a part of the value for that macro variable. To use a macro variable, you simply add the ampersand symbol and stick the macro variable name where you want its value to be substituted. For example, I want this value to be substituted by a value which is this, and the value should be this. So when after being resolved by the macro processor, this statement would become do I 1 to 10 and address in New Zealand, right? So right now you might have a question. So why can't we use directly write 10? Why can't we write directly New Zealand, right? I will answer this question in a while. Alright, so let me go to the programming window where we will. Alright, so let me give you an example. Okay, you have written a program and your manager, so you all know the SAS help data set by now, right? So your manager come to you and ask you, okay, I need the data for female. So what you will do? How you will write a program, right? Let me go step by step. What you will do? You will write prop print data is equal to SAS help dot class where gender is equal to female, right? After some time, he come to you and he ask you to give data for male. So what you will do? You will make these changes, right? Now think of a situation where this is a 3 or 4 page long program, and there you need to substitute this value. So in that case, rather directly changing the value in your, I think someone has joined it right now. Karan, what happened?
सर फोन स्विच ऑफ हो गया था सोता रह गया आज
Okay. Just to give you an idea, so Karan, we have started with macro programming. So I have covered what is macro program and what is macro variable, right? So I'm starting with a first example of macro variable, right? So this is my normal program. Now I, in a situation where I need to change my program very frequently, I don't want to write, change that thing in the program. So what I will do, I will create a macro variable, right? I will create a macro variable like this and will call this macro variable into my program. So as I told you that first we write a normal program, right? And we'll replace this value with a macro variable. I know it's very easy. So you must be thinking, sir, change तो कर ही रहे हैं, वहां पे भी कर रहे हैं, यहाँ पे क्या बात तो एक ही है. But I'm talking about a big program, right? Now, if your manager asks you to okay, give you the data only for mail, what you need to do? You need to change this value from over here, and you are not touching your original program. So that's the one thing that you are not making any change in your original program. You are just changing that value in the macro variable, giving you some time to practice at your end and just drop a text that is done, right, in the chat box. All right. So then let me mark you present, right? It is- Okay. Now let's talk about another program. Now your manager comes to you, every now and then and he asks you, give me a combination of male 12, female 13, and he keep on changing those requests. So what you will do, you will write a program in a right. So he come to you and he say that he wanted he want the data for age if it is greater than 12 and gender is, let's say, male. So what you will do, how you will convert this into macro? So let's say you define it ABC is equal to 12 and DEF is equal to M. Once you define over here, you will replace the value in your program with macro variable ampersand DEF. That's it. Now if we come to you and ask you, okay, give me the data, the same data for female, however the age should be greater than 13. So without changing your original program or your procedures, you are providing that information. Do you think this is a good strategy to make your program automated and less prone to error? Done? Okay. Now, this one is a basic method, right? Yeah. Now, what if I have to develop a program, right, which is working on some logic? So when I say logic, here there is no logic. Someone asked me to give them some certain information. I created a macro variable. I just simply change the value manually, right? Now, what if I have I I write a program, right, and schedule it. I believe you all know what does scheduling mean. Anyone who doesn't understand scheduling, very good. सबको पता है. So now you have scheduled your program, but you want your program to only, you know, give output in certain condition, which means you have no control over your program. You need to define some logic based on that it should run. तो आप मैनुअली आके हमें वैल्यू चेंज नहीं करोगे. और प्रोग्राम should be smart enough or intelligent enough that it will pick or it will run according to the logic. So in that case, the person net won't work. Person net में तो लॉजिक से कैसे वैल्यू पास करोगे? नहीं कर सकते. So there's second method which is called input and into. So these two methods we use. Second and third method we use to do the same job. However, now the values will be picked through a logic, not through any user input. So let me share this data with you first of all, and let me give you a business problem. So this is a data from some superstore, right? And that superstore owner want, and since this is daily sales data, so it will keep on changing on daily basis. तो जरूरी नहीं कि आज जो सेल है वो कल भी यही आएगी या इस दिन जो सेल है वो यही आएगी. It will keep on changing. Now you need to send a report to your owner or the CEO about the customer who has the highest purchase of any of the item, right? You need to send that, a report about the consumer by giving the information that who is the consumer and what is the item which he has purchased and what is the maximum quantity on that particular day which was sold. Apart from that information, you also need to send what all item this particular customer has purchased from your store? Question clear है? Is the question clear or do you want me to repeat? Okay. So this is the data of a retail sales or retail store, right? So what is this? Customer ID, sales day, variety, and the quantity. Now you need to send a daily report to your CEO about what was which customer has purchased the maximum item or maximum quantity of that particular day and the particular item which he has purchased maximum and what all other this customer has purchased on that day. तो किसी गिवन डे में किसी कस्टमर ने सबसे ज्यादा क्या खरीदा, राइट? एक कस्टमर ने जिसने सबसे ज्यादा परचेज की उस दिन, हर कस्टमर की सिर्फ एक कस्टमर जिसने मैक्सिमम बाइंग की हो, उस मैक्सिमम बाइंग में उसने क्या आइटम खरीदा, राइट? और उस आइटम के अलावा उसने क्या क्या खरीदा उसी कस्टमर के द्वारा। क्वेश्चन क्लियर है? ये रिपोर्ट आपको सेंड करनी है। इज इट क्लियर नाउ? Now write a math SAS program to solve this problem. Simple SAS program, not macro one, simple one. And let me know once done. All right. किसी ने सोचा कि कैसे सॉल्व करेंगे इसे? चलो, आई डोंट वांट अ प्रोग्राम, यू जस्ट लेट मी नो हाउ यू विल सॉल्व दिस। कैसे करेंगे? जस्ट लेट मी नो द स्टेप बाय स्टेप प्रोसीजर। एनीवन? ये कैसे कर सकते हैं? चलो ये छोड़ो, आंसर राइट और रॉन्ग की बात नहीं करते, कैसे कर सकते हैं?
सर सीक्वल क्वेरी से करेंगे।
हाँ, कैसे करें? मैं लॉजिक बताओ, कैसे करोगे?
हमें क्या करना है, एक तो वो निकालना क्या क्या खरीदा और मैक्सिमम क्या खरीदा वो निकालना है ना।
हाँ, मैक्सिमम क्या खरीदा उस कस्टमर ने, उस मैक्सिमम क्वांटिटी के अलावा और क्या खरीदा?
हाँ वही देख रहा हूँ सर, मतलब हो जाएगा वैसे तो।
हाँ, हो
सर
जाएगा,
नेस्टेड
ऐसा कुछ
क्वेरी
है।
से हो जाएगा।
हाँ, हो जाए। मैं लॉजिक पूछो कैसे करोगे? स्टेप वन।
सर पहले एक क्वेरी लिखेंगे जिसमें हम कस्टमर आईडी निकाल लेंगे जिसने मैक्सिमम क्वांटिटी परचेज की है, और इस क्वेरी को हम नेस्ट कर देंगे। अ, अ, मतलब फिर हम एक और सीक्वल स्टेटमेंट लिखेंगे जिसमें हमें उसकी पूरी डिटेल्स चाहिए होंगी उस कस्टमर की। जैसे आपने कहा कि उसने और क्या क्या आइटम्स परचेज किए हैं, तो जो हमने फर्स्ट क्वेरी लिखी थी जिसमें हमने मैक्सिमम क्वांटिटी देख के वो कस्टमर आईडी निकाली थी, उसको इसमें नेस्ट कर देंगे कि जहाँ पे ये वाली कस्टमर आईडी मिल जाए हमें जिसने मैक्सिमम परचेज किया है, उसकी सारी परचेजेस लिस्ट हो जाए।
Excellent, Pravisha. You have won a chocolate, right? So whenever we meet, I will. You can ask me this chocolate, right?
श्योर सर।
Yes. So so this is how we will, approach this. So let me solve this in a data set, right? I will solve this with ProcSQL as well. So what I will do, I will sort my data. और अच्छा, मैंने ऊपर वाला रन नहीं किया। बाय क्वांटिटी, राइट? सो मेरे पास टॉप पे क्या जाएगा? जिस कस्टमर भाई साहब ने मैक्सिमम क्वांटिटी खरीदी हो, राइट? तो मुझे मालूम चलेगा दिस इज द कस्टमर आईडी, राइट? सो व्हाट आई विल डू, आई विल only store this value or pick up this line only, and with the help of calls input, with the help of calls input, I will create macro variables, right? So calls input, so calls input takes a value from a data step and assign it to a macro variable. You can then use this macro variable in later steps to assign a value to a single macro variable. You use calls input with general form. So where macro variable name is enclosed in quotation marks is the name of a macro variable, right? Either new or old, and value is the value you want to assign to the macro variable. So this is general structure. Value can be the name of a variable whose value SAS will use, or it can be a constant value enclosed in quotation mark. ठीक है? तो जो थोड़ा सा चाइनीज वाला पार्ट हो गया है, लेट मी एक्सप्लेन दिस। सो कॉल्स इनपुट क्या करेगा, एक डेटा स्टेप से एक मैक्रो वेरिएबल की वैल्यू एक टाइम पे की वैल्यू will assign to a this name which is a macro variable name. Structure ये है ना, macro variable name and the value. So value will be picked from this data step, right? So variety की वैल्यू क्या पिक करूंगा मैं? जिंजर, राइट? वैसे कस्टमर आईडी की वैल्यू क्या पिक करूंगा? 240W. So now you know why I picked up only one row, because एक टाइम पे एक ही वैल्यू पास ऑन हो सकती है। सो मैंने कस्टमर नेम, कस्टमर क्वांटिटी, सबका अलग अलग मैक्रो वेरिएबल बना लिया। और ये अंडरस्कोर नल अंडरस्कोर क्यों लिखा? क्योंकि मैं कोई डेटा सेट तो बनाना नहीं है, मेरा ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है? मैक्रो वेरिएबल बनाना। So let me run this program, right? So you won't get any result because the output should be, output is nothing. Now how do you want to check whether this variable have been created or not? तो बीच में प्रोग्राम लिख करके आप चेक कर सकते हो। परसेंट पुट एम्परसेंड TOPVRTY, राइट? टॉप वे राइट, टी का क्या, VRTY, एम्परसेंड कस्ट नेम, एम्परसेंड टॉप QTY and semicolon. Check. So this is not a part of program. This is just to test whether my variable has been created or not. So in the log you will see your resolved value for your variables or macro variables, right? And you can pass this value. So proc print data is equal to flower sales where customer ID is equal to custom name, right? So this is a macro variable. So when you submit this, what you will get? Who has purchased the highest quantity and what is the what is the item and what other item this person has purchased. Now let's say your data changes, right? Let's say it became 900. So you are not changing any value. Your logic is working as per the data. Let me know if you're done. Done. Okay, Kana has completed. Jishan, हो गया? All right. Now we can do the same thing, right? This calls input thing by using SQL, right? What I need to write in SQL, select customer ID into and then colon followed by macro variable name. This is your name which you are defining. So this time I'm writing this name as mcust m item m quantity. So select customer ID from this data because at one point in time this macro variable can store only one value. So once you submit this, you can see whether this has been created or not. The log it will show you this way. Now this is all about macro variable. Any question on any of the macro variable type, person led calls input and into. Okay, I take this silence as no question. Let me move forward. Now let's talk about a macro program. If I had to convert this program into a macro program, right? What I will do, I will use percent macro, right? So one thing which you need to do, you need to save this data on a notepad and upload your notepad over here. Reason being, macro program does not work on data which is defined on the script window or the code window, right? So what you need to do, you need to store this data some at some home location and upload that notepad. So save it on your notepad and upload it and try to run this program only, and confirm that you have successfully read this program. Done? Is it done? Yes, no, maybe. Okay. What about others? Just confirm me once you're done because the rest of the program is dependent on this data only. So मान के चलते so the data which is the path which is written in file statement. So this data lies on some server, right? Now what I will do, I will sort this data and store in my work directory, sort that data and pick up only first row and convert, or change my or store my data values into a macro variable, right? And then print my report. So this entire program could be converted in a macro program by writing percent macro, right? Followed by the macro name, then your program, and in last you are writing percent macro and then again the macro program name. So once you submit this program, right, nothing will be the result, right? Because you have created a program, a macro program. Now if you want to call this program, right, you need not to run this thing piece. You just simply need to submit this small name which is your macro program name and with the percent symbol, and it will give you the output. Now what if your data which is stored in the data which is in the server, right? I'm not sure I won't be able to make it anything. right? So my data is on server, and suddenly the next day the value changes for this particular item, and it will be 850, right? So what I will do, I will upload this file, choose file, download, replace, right? And I have just submitted this piece, right? Congratulations, you have created your first macro program. Let me know once you're done.
Sir,
Yes,
तो Simput basically what does it do?
simple basically.
Call. What does it do? What is its function? It only calls.
So ये input इस डेटा से इस वेरिएबल की वैल्यू उठा करके यहाँ पे स्टोर करा सकता है, और ये वेरिएबल क्या है? मैक्रो वेरिएबल, जिसको आप दूसरे प्रोग्राम में कॉल कर सकते हो।
Okay, okay.
ठीक है, अदरवाइज तो इस डेटा सेट की वैल्यू को आप दूसरी का यूज नहीं कर सकते, राइट? जब तक इस डेटा सेट को यूज ना करो। बट द मोमेंट यू कन्वर्ट इट इनटू अ मैक्रो वेरिएबल, you can call it anywhere, right?
Yes. Sir, why have we used macro only?
So this is how we need to write कि मैक्रो की बाउंड्री यहाँ से स्टार्ट है, मैक्रो की बाउंड्री यहाँ पे एंड है। Let me know once you're done with this macro program. Let me know once you're done. So this is from the beginning, right? This beginning or you want day beginning? Then we did this. Then we did this. And now we are here in the macro program. हर्षिता ये हो गया ओके Okay, very good. Karan, done? Okay. Now, thank you for the confirmation. We can add yes. Yes. Okay. So, Pragisha, the thing which I am teaching you right now, this gives you enough flexibility to automate your program, right? Now, after this, I will also share an example where you will create your entire program into macro program. So this is converting only a normal program into a macro program, and I will teach you how to write a completely a macro program. तो यहाँ तो सिर्फ आपने परसेंट मैक्रो लगाया, परसेंट एंड किया, प्रोग्राम के बीच में नॉर्मल प्रोग्राम डाल दिया. तो हाउ टू राइट द फुल प्रोग्राम इनटू मैक्रो प्रोग्राम? मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम वी जनरली जो हम लोग भी काम करते हैं, वी यूज मैक्रो वेरिएबल टू मच. So these macro gives us the flexibility, right? Okay. Now one more example. We can add parameter to our macro. So for example, I have created a macro class report where I have used to open parameter which is age is equal to and sx is equal to. I'm writing it proc print this and person emit class rpt. This I am not explaining this because this already you know, right? Once you submit this program, a macro program would be generated. Now you can write your macro program and pass on the parameters to get the output as per your wish. Here you can change it to mail. What is different in macro using proc SQL? Proc SQL is altogether different thing. proc SQL से तो आप query करते हो, macro से आप program automate करते हो. And if your question is what is the difference between calls input and input method of macro, so there is no difference. Yes, one for data step, another one for SQL, right? So SAS, when SAS was developed, and that point of time SAS realized this thing that the SQL is very popular language, and people are trained on it, so it has given that functionality to use SQL program in the SAS itself. So it has designed everything for SQL as well in the SAS program. तो जब मैक्रो बनाया तो डेटा स्टेप ले रहा, तो उन्होंने बोला कि एसक्यूएल के भी बना देते हैं हम लोग. Then, alright, so the next topic, okay, I will start after the break because that require more time. What is it? Break. Let's take a look. What is the current time? It's 11:31. So let's take a 20-minute break. Oh, my bad. Not 11:50. It's 10:50. See you after the break. Alright. Can you guys confirm me whether you have received my videos or not? YouTube पे जो वीडियोस का आपको लिंक है वहां पे वीडियोस मिल रहे हैं आपको? Not for last week, but I can see over here YouTube का हो गया आपको. Let me check. So it is uploaded like 28th का है ये, 27th ये रहा. जीशान मतलब यस का मतलब क्या समझो, वीडियो मिल गए या नहीं? तो ये YouTube पे तो ये रहे ना वीडियोस. अच्छा, लास्ट वीक इधर ना 27th. हाँ, सो 27th का ये रहा. 27th. 28 भी ये रहा. 28 दो पार्ट में. 29th ये रहा. 29th भी लो. आपको 27 18 नॉट देयर. 28 इज नॉट देयर. अच्छा, 28 बता देता हूँ कहाँ पे है. हाँ जी. हाँ. So I am not expert in this uploading the video. That might be the reason. So Damini is fixing it, right? Uh, she will. Then you will get the video from where you are accessing there. All right. Mhm. Okay. In the same series, right? Now we are going to create a macro program, right? Which is based on some conditional logic. So I have been requested that, if it is Monday today, then I should get a output of this data which is as help.class, and it should only contain data for the age group 11. And if it is Tuesday, then only 12, and this Wednesday, then 13, and so on. So how to write a macro program? Alright, so I'm starting it with percent macro day wise report. That is a name given to this program. And I'm writing if, since this is a macro program, if if ampersand sys day is equal to Monday, percent then percent do what? All this thing. Which is proc print this, where age is this, run this. And you all know whenever we use do, we always end that statement with end. So we are writing percent end. Now for next condition, I am writing percent else percent if, because I need to write multiple condition. Percent else percent if and percent sysday is equal to Tuesday. Percent then percent do proc print as help.class where age is this, run this. And I will keep on writing this program until I write an else statement, right? So I am writing percent else do proc print as help.class where age is greater than 15 if the day is Not all of them. From Monday to Friday. If it is Monday to Friday, then print all these things. Otherwise, print this one. And to close this, I am writing percent amend. So once you submit this program, I will give you enough time. Just wait a minute. Nothing will be output, right? No real. However, when okay, I think I missed the last. Let me run it again. This is the worst thing which you can expect from a macro program. And let me just fix this. Now, if I run this program, it will print. Uh, 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 let me run it one more time. Some spacing issue. कुछ तो issue है. So what I will do in this case, I will save this program, log out my session. Give me a second. दामिनी का फोन है. Okay. Hmm. Great. And I just Jami just confirmed me that you did not receive your capstone project. Uh, and ideally you should receive it before this class, right? Before my session. But no worries, I will share it today. And so once you submit this program, right, you will get the data for which day? The Tuesday, right? So you got the data only for age group 12. Now write this program and confirm me once done. So so you have just seen whenever while writing any macro program and you encounter any problem, right? So the best solution is that log of login. This time I have not left Saturday Sunday. I have covered Saturday Sunday in the last statement, which is as do till Friday it is there. Done. What about others? All right. So with this, we have covered all scenarios for macro programs, right? Now I'm going to share few program with you, right? Which you might not be able to run it right now. The reason being because it requires some configuration of your Outlook and your SAS Studio. So this is a program, right, to generate automated email, right? So please do not write it right now because it won't run in your machine. So this is a program which I will share with you so that you have uh, this with you. Tomorrow, if you are working in an organization, then probably you can leverage this program to generate automated email, which means so you have run the above program and you want to send the output, which is this output to different different people, right? And you need not to run the program. You schedule it, and automated email will be generated, and people will receive the output. So file name, output, email, right? So these are keywords which you need to write. Subject would be the subject line of your email to list of you people whom you want to into list. CC generally you or someone in your team whom you want to copy on this. Attach, yes. So a little beyond that, right? Not exactly. Attach, you can attach any file, right? आपने क्या किया प्रॉक एक्सपोर्ट करके फाइल एक्सपोर्ट करा ली उसको यहाँ पे अटैच भी करा सकते हो ना ओडीएस एचटीएमएल बॉडी आउटपुट तो जो आउटपुट जनरेट होगा वो किस पे आएगा एचटीएमएल में आएगा और कहाँ पे जाएगा बॉडी में आउटपुट में राइट इसे आउटपुट विंडो स्टाइल आप जानते हो ओडीएस नो प्रॉक टाइटल जनरली ओडीएस नो प्रॉक टाइटल का मतलब जब आप कोई प्रोसेस रन करते हो तो उसकी हेडिंग यहाँ पे आती है उसको हटाने के लिए ओडीएस एस्केप करेक्टर अब आपको कुछ लाइन स्किप करनी है तो देन यू कैन यूज दिस नाउ here would be your procedure तो फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आपको यही प्रिंट कराना है देन यू कैन राइट दिस प्रोसीजर और अगर आप if you are creating your own table by using proc tabulate you can write proc tabulate over here right ods text the email body like please find attached daily report and so on and finally ods html close and submit this program this will
Sir,
out yes Nishta
so how can we use it on Outlook?
how
How can we use it for Outlook? Outlook में कैसे use करेंगे if this
uh,
email?
so outlook में sas add in add होगा right तो जब आप
Okay.
कंपनी में काम करोगे ना तो वो एक एड इन देंगे तो वो कॉन्फ़िगर्ड होगा राइट और सैस के अंदर भी सेटिंग ये होगी कि आप ऑटोमेटिक ईमेल जनरेट कर सकते हो उस केस में यू विल बी एबल टू रन दिस प्रोग्राम
So our SAS Studio will be connected to our Outlook directly.
आउटलुक ऐप में तो जो जन जन होगा
Okay.
Similarly, there are add-ins for Excel as well. जो आप यहाँ पे चीजें देख रहे हो ना, टास्क एंड यूटिलिटीज लाइक दिस, ये सारी चीजें आपको एक्सेल में भी मिल सकती हैं, बट वो एड इन ऐड होना चाहिए आपके एक्सेल के अंदर। Okay, some student asked me for this program, so I have written this as a bonus program, right? So they asked me how to create a calendar. So by using our function, I have created this. So x is equal to today. It will print today's date in my and start date, which is interval next, which interval month today minus 1 and end. तो क्या होगा इससे, पिछले महीने की आखिरी डेट प्रिंट होगी -1 जाकर के एंड में, और उसमें अगर मैं 1 ऐड कर दूंगा तो करेंट मंथ की फर्स्ट डेट आ जाएगी। एंड डेट बाय इंटरवल नेक्स्ट मंथ टुडे 0 मींस इस मंथ, इस महीने का ही मेरे को एंड डेट चाहिए, एंड दैट्स इट। ए निकाला, इसमें से मैंने डेट पोर्शन निकाल लिया, इसमें से मैंने डे पोर्शन निकाल लिया, एंड डू लूप चाहते हैं आई इज इक्वल टू ए टू बी, यानी फर्स्ट से लेकर के लास्ट डेट ऑफ द मंथ, राइट। और क्या ऐड करता गया, एंड फाइनली you will get your calendar. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 28. You can drop these variables, right? If it is not required, you can drop them as well. So let me change it to a calendar date. That is more. Of spelling mistake. So you can, customize your program by using different function. And again, someone asked me this program, a program for only for dates falling on Monday. कि मेरे को अगर प्रोग्राम सिर्फ इसलिए रन करना है कि मंडे को फॉल करे, सो डेटा न्यू, इसी प्रोग्राम को एक्सटेंड किया मैंने, वेयर वीक डे इज इक्वल टू 2, एंड मैंने क्या सेट कैलेंडर यहां से उठाया और इसकी डेट चेंज कर दी मैंने, ये तो ये डेट्स मेरी मंडे को फॉल करेंगी। This is how you can develop your own logic, right? Depending on your requirement. By using SAS programming. Alright, so let's talk about your SAS project. Now share me the challenge which you have faced. Let me share this program first. Okay. चैलेंज बताओ जी, क्या क्या चैलेंज आए थे आप लोगों को? सॉल्व करने से चैलेंज आया था ना आप लोगों को? लेट मी नो द स्पेसिफिक चैलेंज। ईमानदारी से था, किसने ट्राई नहीं किया?
सर
हाँ जी,
एक्चुअली उसमें रिपोर्ट बनाने को बोला था, सो दैट इज अ कंसेप्ट दैट वी जस्ट लर्न टुडे। तो रिपोर्ट वी
मैंने
थॉट हम से प्रैक्टिस
ये तो मैंने
करेंगे
आपको पहले ही
लेकिन
बताया था कि एक क्वेश्चन नहीं कर पाओगे आप लास्ट वाला, राइट?
नो सर, वो तो लास्ट वाला तो मैक्रोस का था। एक रिपोर्ट वाला भी था, क्रिएट अ रिपोर्ट, जिसमें क्वेरी लिखी थी कि
सही कौन सा क्वेश्चन है?
सर क्रिएट अ रिपोर्ट टू गेट द कंट्री वाइज ब्रेकअप ऑफ मोस्ट पॉपुलर और लीस्ट पॉपुलर मंथली। सर ऊपर ऊपर सर।
हाँ, तो इसमें क्या दिक्कत? प्रॉक फ्रीक्वेंसी में कितनी दिक्कत देर लगती?
सर क्वेरी तो बन गई, बट रिपोर्ट अभी थॉट टेबल बनानी है।
हाँ, तो टेबल भी बन जाती है। चैलेंज क्या है? मतलब चैलेंज समझ में नहीं आया कि चैलेंज क्या था। कोई टर्म समझ में नहीं आया या क्वेरी समझ में नहीं आई, क्या लिखेंगे इसके लिए?
नहीं सर, अब समझ में आ गया।
आज हो जाएगा।
एंड यस सर, इंपोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट में बाइनरी फाइल थी, सो दैट नीड्स टू बी सेव्ड इन अ डिफरेंट एक्सटेंशन,
हाँ, वैसे भी कर
राइट?
सकते हो, अदरवाइज।
सर क्योंकि बाइनरी फाइल में हमें इंपोर्ट करने का तरीका आया नहीं, इट वाज ओनली शोइंग एरर, इट वाज नॉट रीडिंग।
अच्छा, तो
एंड
हाँ,
सर डेटा लॉट ऑफ
ऑप्शन
टाइम।
नहीं, ऑप्शन नहीं दे रहा हूँ आपको, वैसे तो मैं देख लेता हूँ। बाइनरी का ऑप्शन
सर
है नहीं। खुल जा सिम सिम। हम्म।
तो
आप ये सारे ऑप्शंस यूज कर सकते हैं, राइट? है, बाइनरी का ऑप्शन है, राइट?
सर अपलोड तो हो रही थी, बट इट वाज नॉट रीडिंग। टेबल नहीं
हाँ,
बन, मतलब उसका इट वाज नॉट सेविंग वर्किंग लाइब्रेरी।
ओके, लेट मी जस्ट डू इट फॉर यू। तो अगर आपके एक्सएलएक्स भी होती ना यहाँ पे और फाइल का आप सेलेक्ट करते इस तरह से, तो उसको रीड कर पाए, क्योंकि ये सारे फॉर्मेट रीड कर रहा है। नाउ कहाँ पे चेंज आपको करना होगा? जो प्रोग्राम
डीबीएमएस में।
एक्सएल एसएक्स की जगह एक्सएल एस बी कर देना वहाँ पे।
नहीं सर, वो
सर
चला
नहीं
नहीं
हो
सर, बी किया था,
नहीं चला?
चला नहीं था,
नहीं हो
ये
नहीं
ट्राई
चला।
किया था सर।
ओके, सो लेट्स डू इट राइट नाउ, लेट मी फाइंड।
वही कर दिया था, एक्सेल एस एस।
करके देख लेते हैं, अभी मालूम चल जाएगा। 9 MB की फाइल होगी अपलोड, वेरी गुड। डोंट सेव, लेट मी। क्या नाम था फाइल का? वो नाम भूल गया। ऑनलाइन एडिट करके था ना? क्या बोल रहा हूँ, एक्सेल फाइल। हाँ, डीबीएमएस इक्वल्स टू एक्सेल लिख के कर लेना उसको। हो गया ना आपके सामने?
सर, उससे भी नहीं हो रहा।
नहीं होगा सर, रन कर तो करो एक बार।
चलो देखो, अभी आपको आपके सामने करता हूँ। यही लिखोगे? चलो इसका नाम भी न्यू कर देते हैं, राइट? ओके, सो विच डे?
सर सर आपका अभी जो आपने मैक्रोज वाला फाइल दिया है उसमें द लास्ट कोड इज नॉट रनिंग कैलेंडर वाला।
एक्सेल वाला मैंने फाइल दिया है, वो क्या नहीं हो रहा? लास्ट टू आर नॉट रनिंग, क्या वो रनिंग?
जो जो कैलेंडर वाला कोड है सर आपका।
रन नहीं कर रहा?
नो,
अब बात करें
इट्स
क्या?
ओनली शोइंग अ लॉग। नहीं ये वाला नहीं, इसके बाद वाला कैलेंडर के बाद।
ये,
यस सर।
हाँ तो इसके लिए इसको रन करना
यस।
पड़ेगा ना।
ओके ओके
ये सेट वैल्यू ये जो पिक की है ना, यही।
ओके।
So it is not allowing you to read XLSV file, but the just give me a second. Let me try this another method. File name, my file, my file. Guys, एक मिनट देना, मैं अपने ऑफिस से फोन है। Hello. Okay. So now they are saying that we cannot use this. Sorry for this small interruption. so the, so you can use only this option, which is task and utilities. Go to import data, right, and select your file. The strange thing is that we are using their own the same code, right? Which okay. But while I am submitting this program, so while I am submitting this program over here, it's just showing exception. Might be some configuration issue, so you can utilize the utilities, right? अब हो जाएगा निष्ठा. इंपोर्ट करके import data, select file, online.csv या xls जो भी है, open, and you will find this file in work library by name of import. Okay. Strange. Okay.
एक्सएलएस भी हो ही नहीं रही.
हो ही नहीं रही. Okay.
यस सर, इस तरह मैंने भी ट्राई करा था बट हुआ ही नहीं था.
Okay. गुड है. अच्छा जी. समथिंग एक्चुअली वो शायद मेरे को इसलिए मालूम चला कि मैं जनरली CSV फाइल शेयर करता है ना क्लास के अंदर, और यहाँ मैंने आपको XLSB फाइल शेयर की है. लेट गिव मी वन मोर टाइम. लेट मी जस्ट ट्राई वन मोर. और रन करने नहीं दे रहा एक्सेल को. So let me find one more solution. एक्सेल तो हमने रिपोर्ट की भी थी ना पहले. एक्सेल एसवी में इश्यू आ रहा है, तो उसको एक बार ओपन करके ना एक्सेल एस या सीएसवी में उसको सेव करके इंपोर्ट कर लो आपको से. दैट्स ओनली वे आउट.
अच्छा वो कर दिया था, वैसे तो कर दिया था.
बट गुड.
सर एक डाउट है फिर उसके बाद. ये जो क्वेश्चन है कि कंट्री वाइज ब्रेकअप ऑफ मोस्ट पॉपुलर या मोस्ट परचेज प्रोडक्ट, तो इसमें पॉपुलर तो वो भी हो सकता है कि मतलब सपोज दो प्रोडक्ट हैं, एक प्रोडक्ट को एक बंदे ने खरीदा 100 बार,
हाँ.
दूसरे प्रोडक्ट को 50 बंदों ने खरीदा एक बार, तो पॉपुलर तो 50 वाला होगा ना, मोस्ट परचेज दूसरा हो जाएगा.
यस.
Sir, so it only depends on the number of quantity that has been purchased.
No, this is a good point, Karan. That again. So if someone asks you this question, right, you should have this question as well. कि मैं किसको पॉपुलर मानूं.
वही सर, वही डाउट आया था.
So
मैंने तो उसको मान लिया जिसको मतलब
so
सबसे ज्यादा खरीदा गया है.
पॉपुलर हो गए जो ज्यादा लोगों ने खरीदा, और मोस्ट परचेज
हाँ
हो
सर
गया
वही.
जो सबसे ज्यादा बिका.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
Right. So you need to keep on seeking this information. So always remember one thing, right? Don't jump to the solution directly. होता क्या, हम जैसे हमारे पास कोई प्रॉब्लम आया स्ट्रेट में वी स्टार्ट, हमें सीधे आंसर चाहिए होता है. नो बिफोर यू जंप टू द solution, you should have a clear cut definition of the ask कि मांगा क्या गया है. पहली चीज. दूसरा, जो भी मांगा गया उसकी डेफिनेशन बहुत क्लियर कट कहीं लिख लो, और जिसने मांगा उससे शेयर कर दो कि देखो जी आपने ये मांगा, मैं ये देने वाला हूँ. सो दैट टुमारो दे शुड नॉट कम बैक टू योर सेइंग ओ मैंने तो ये नहीं समझा, ये समझा था. ठीक है.
ठीक है सर, अब इसको क्या माने फिर?
बट मोस्ट परचेज प्रोडक्ट तो क्वांटिटी के बेसिस पे नहीं होगा. मोस्ट परचेज
Sir, so what exactly should be considered? सबसे ज्यादा purchase पे number of quantity only, stock quote के basis पे.
यस. मैं तो कहीं
नहीं
बोल
सर,
रहा हूँ सबसे ज्यादा रेवेन्यू किसने जनरेट किया, तो पूछ ही नहीं रहा हूँ. परचेज तो क्वांटिटी होगी
मोस्ट
ना.
पॉपुलर तो काउंट ऑफ प्रोडक्ट आईडी हो जाएगा, तो मोस्ट
काउंट ही होगा
पॉपुलर
ना
तो.
वो. मोस्ट परचेज तो काउंट होगा, क्वांटिटी हो ही नहीं सकती.
हाँ जी,
Count
काउंट हो जाएगा.
sir quantity भी कि उस प्रोडक्ट का कितना क्वांटिटी मंगवाया वो तो मैक्सिमम होना चाहिए.
हाँ, क्वांटिटी वही है ना,
वो
पर प्राइस
yes
नहीं होगा, अमाउंट नहीं होगा.
yes yes.
और पूछो, और कोई क्वेश्चन इसमें?
इसमें अब काउंट वाला करते हैं सर, है ना,
हाँ,
पॉपुलर में.
काउंट के हिसाब से.
ठीक है.
Any other question on which you have any doubt? तो ये वाला क्वेश्चन है जो इसमें कि आपको मैक्रो की जरूरत पड़ने वाली थी. Because we need to keep the date dynamic. ठीक है. So this is about stats. Let me so I'm not starting Tableau today, so I will start Tableau tomorrow. And let me ask you. So this is okay. मेरे पास जो लिस्ट है PG7 की, ये सारे यही लोग हैं कि इसके अलावा भी कोई है? मैं रिकॉर्डिंग को स्टॉप कर दे रहा हूँ क्योंकि
ऑफलाइन में शिफ्ट हो गए।